As I was sorting through the various things you beautiful people have submitted to me over the last several days, I came across one that instantly caught my eye. It reads, "Girl, your silence on Wuthering Heights has been deafening. Release the Fennell files."
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. I'm going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly slumber party for heart-to-hearts and hot gossip, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Maddie Drossbeck, who is deep in reflection this week because I've been exposed to a new word, and that word is divaphobic. And when I was exposed to the word divaphobic, it was like a path lit up both in front and behind me. And I was reflecting on all the times in my life I have come across a divaphobic individual, of which there has been far too many times, okay? Far too many people out and about just perusing the streets are divaphobic. You think that we would have locked them up in a chamber by now. We have not. We have not figured out how to do that, to lock them away, far away in a castle guarded by a dragon. That is where the divaphobes deserve to be. Divaphobic. I saw this word used on social media. I know there's going to be people in the comments like, just now you've heard of divaphobic, div? Like, sorry, I'm not as online as I used to be, okay? Can a girl be 29? Can a girl be pushing 30 these days? Okay, my birthday's next week. Don't forget it. Okay, but I saw the word divaphobic like 2 swipes after I had seen this post of someone just talking about what it was like to be a curvy girl in the early 2000s, to be a plus size girl in the early 2000s, and how adults felt so comfortable to talk to you in like the most insane ways possible. Like grown adults are looking at 11-year-old girls being like, you are so fat and disgusting. And like, this is a problem. This is a huge problem. Like the way it was like, you were either there and you lived it or you don't know. Right. And it was one of those things. You had to be there. You guys, hey, all my girls out there who get it. Yeah, I see you. You see me. We see each other. You had to be there, truly. And the combining of those two pieces of media together, reflecting on the way adults spoke to children about fatness as a child, paired with the knowledge and reminder that many people in this world are divaphobic, I had a moment where I'm, flashing back to all these moments of my childhood where I was like, holy shit, I was surrounded by divaphobes. I was surrounded by people who were not fucking with my vision, because my vision has always been clear, okay? I have always been a diva. There was never a day in my life where I was cowering in a corner, okay? Even when I had the lowest self-esteem possible, at the end of the day, I'm a diva. I like to be the center of attention. I like to entertain people, okay? I was the type of kid who would come up with, and see, I love remembering things about my childhood that I was like, it should have been so obvious that this is who I am, right? I wasn't only the type of kid that would play a little bit of dress up with my sister, choreograph a dance, and then make the whole family come downstairs on Thanksgiving to do a showcase. Nay. It would not be just one. I would spend 2 months before Thanksgiving preparing me and my sister in what was basically an after-school boot camp where we would cook up minimum 20 different dance numbers that I would then put in a program and make into a little design pamphlet, print out, and we would have my little brother stand at the bottom of the stairs and hand them out to everyone as they came down. My huge extended family, and we'd set up little chairs, all of our children's bean bags and whatever, in rows in our basement, and we would perform minimum an hour and a half worth of dances. You guys don't understand the kind of diva you are dealing with, okay? It should have been so obvious that this is who I would become. I have not changed, okay? Not a day in my life have I been anything other than who I am. I can't help it, okay? I am a diva. Some people are very divaphobic. I was thinking about this, thinking about like the pivotal moments in my life where an adult spoke to me and my child self, which now as an adult, I can be like, that's fucking crazy. But at the time, I didn't understand how absurd it was for an adult to speak to a child this way. For example, I think back to like being 13 years old and I was making my YouTube videos. I just started. So I was it's all I wanted to do. Really, truly. I would complain because my parents' house up in Maine did not have Wi-Fi. We would go to Maine during the summer. I grew up in Massachusetts, but our house up in Maine, it was basically the size of my apartment and it had no Wi-Fi. It was just like a standard little beach cottage. And I hated going there because I always would have rather been at home making videos. And so I would make my videos on my laptop and then I'd walk over to my grandma's house, she lived across the street from a hotel. So I would use the hotel's Wi-Fi across the street of my grandma's house and it sucked. It was the worst. I hated it. Anyways, I bring this up because that was my vibe, right? Okay, I was a businesswoman. I was 13 years old and I had a business to run. I had shit to do. I had things to edit. I had cameras to be in front of, okay? I was going to be big. And to me, at the time, I had 100 subscribers in my first month of making YouTube videos. And I was treating it like I was famous, okay? Summer of 2010, me and my 100 subscribers, I was big timing it. And to be honest with you, at the time, it wasn't even that big of a stretch. Like we're talking like early stage YouTube. We weren't, surrounded by people with 20 million subscribers or more. People probably have like north of 100. How many subscribers does Mr. Beast have? I don't fucking know. Probably north of 100 million. Maybe I'm overselling it. I don't know. I literally couldn't tell you. I don't even have a range of a guess. But at the time, getting 100 subscribers in your first month of making videos, pretty awesome. I had 1,000 in my first 6 months. I was slaying for a 13-year-old. I really was. That was big at the time. It was very serious to me. My creative project, my business endeavor. So I'm 13. It's the middle of the summer, and all I want to do is make videos. And I was outside in the backyard at my parents' house, and a family friend was visiting. They were over at the house talking to my parents, and I was in the backyard filming myself, doing my little dances and my music video, with the jump cut music videos. We'd be like, hey, you over there. And we'd do like a different pose for every word. Anyways, those were the days. You had to be there. You had to be there for that too. But this family friend came out on the porch and was just watching me for a second. And then they stopped me in the middle of my filming to tell me and pull me over in like an adult kind of tone. And they were like, you're getting older now. You really have to be aware of what kinds of clothes you're wearing and if they look right on your body. And I remember being told that a peplum top would be more flattering on me. I don't even remember what I was wearing. I was probably wearing a tank top at the time. It was like the summer that those neon bright skin tight tank tops with the rolled over Sophie shorts were popular. That was like the rage for girls my age. And I was basically pulled to the side and a very condescending voice told that I should not wear that. The implication there being that my stomach did not work in a tank top that tight. And I think back to all the various moments like that. That family friend did that to me probably every single summer when I started experimenting more with makeup, and I loved wearing like funky lipsticks in high school. I would, wear black lipstick. I'd wear dark red lipstick. I'd wear purple lipstick. It didn't matter to me. I would wear anything. And they would pull me aside every time they saw me wearing something like that and tell me how unflattering it looked, how bad it looked. And now that I'm an adult, when I think about running into a teenager, I don't know many teenagers, but at some point in my life I will. When my friends have kids, when my siblings have kids, at some point in my life, there will be teens in my immediate vicinity, which is, I'll be even older by then. So I should know even better. Assumably, the older I get, the wiser I get, the smarter and more knowledgeable I get, you would think. Unfortunately, there are a lot of adults that just aren't like that and are, as stated before, divaphobic. But I think about it even now. If one of my younger cousins, who's a teenager, shows up in a funky little crazy outfit with black lipstick and, you know, a bunch of rainbow clips in her hair, there is not even one part of me that would be like, oh, I have to pull her to the side and tell her that she's not allowed to wear clothes like that and that makeup looks weird and it's all unflattering and unsettling. It's like that would never be my reaction to a child. To be honest with you, if I saw one of my younger cousins walk in wearing the shit that I used to wear, doing funky makeup like I used to do, and still do, by the way, okay? Don't forget that I'm the bitch with purple hair who does purple eyeshadow every day to match, okay? If I saw one of my young, like 13, 12-year-old cousins walk into the family function wearing what I used to wear, I'd be like, oh my God, I love her. I love her energy. I love this little diva. I can't fathom why a grown adult would ever look at like a funky, fun, like free, totally fucking free child and want to flatten their personality into something more digestible. I can't fathom it. Whatever that fucking kid wants to wear, let him wear it. And tell them they look damn good wearing it. I don't care what your own personal internal issues with certain body parts are or whether or not you would feel comfortable wearing it. Shut the fuck up. Tell that 13-year-old girl that she looks fucking awesome with a little costume that she put on to make her videos. And how dare you tell her anything else? How dare you? How actually fucking dare you? Oh my God, look at this beautiful little girl who just wants to creatively express herself and have fun. And there you are stomping on her parade because you're what? Divaphobic. And of course, it was very of the time. A lot of these women were extremely fatphobic. But I think divaphobic is also worth noting here as well, because I look back and I genuinely believe that some of the adult women that were unkind to me about my appearance, my fashion, my makeup growing up were, honest to God, just fucking jealous of me. I think that they were jealous that I had so much freedom and confidence within myself. And even when I was at the most insecure, most unconfident, like it was really that age that, everyone feels like shit about themselves when they're 13, right? I didn't feel like I was confident, but I think I've always felt like I had a responsibility to be myself. And also like I had no other choice. This is who I am. Like there's no hiding me. It is what it is. And I'll be insecure about who I am for years to come. But at the end of the day, like I am who I am. And I genuinely think that some of these women were jealous of me. I think they saw a 13-year-old girl with all the whimsy and joy to fuel an entire village, and they got upset with themselves. I do. I do. I look back and I think that you just saw something in me that shined, and you were mad that you never had it. So you wanted to flatten me and turn me into something more digestible for everyone else. And it didn't work. It didn't fucking work, bitch. In fact, I might be even more extra as a result. But it's crazy how many people are diva-fucking-phobic. Divaphobic. I think about it. You know what I see a lot? I've definitely talked about this on the show before. I think the episode is called The Sephora Tweens Defense Force, because I will defend the Sephora Tweens until the day I die. And I said this in the episode then, and I'll say it again now. I am not bothered at all by these little girls on the internet that want to play in makeup and skincare and do all that. It's nothing different than we did when I was younger. We were also playing in makeup and doing shit like that, putting on our mom's clothes. I was absolutely doing, a smoky eye like my mom to try to figure it all out. I was doing a full face of makeup by the time I was 14. Like I was doing that shit too. I just didn't have an iPhone in front of me, nor access to like an entire group of internet adults to watch it happen. You know what I mean? And definitely the stuff they're using now is way more expensive, but that's neither here nor there, right? My point here is just to say that I think some people get all bothered when young kids are playing in makeup and skincare. Keyword playing. And I think I have criticisms for, obviously, I think it's pretty clear that I have a lot of criticisms for the beauty industry and like how body image ideals are instilled in young girls as a whole. I have a lot of criticism there. That aside, we can put that stuff for later, right? I don't want young girls to feel like they have to, fit a certain mold or feel pressure to afford a high level makeup and skincare, or that it's something that they need to do, right? But I'm all for young girls playing and having a good time. And I played with makeup when I was a kid, and it does not bother me to see other kids playing with makeup now. But every now and then I'll see a video of a tween girl doing her makeup pushed to my Instagram or TikTok feeds. And she's usually like 11, 12, 13. Obviously, they're not doing great makeup. It's exactly what you expect a child doing makeup to look like. They're being silly. They're coloring out of the lines. Everything is harsh and unblended and just gorgeous and whimsical and fun. Like, it is just silliness. They're playing. And I think it's beautiful and I love it. But so often you look at the comment sections of those videos and you have adults on the internet bullying these like 11-year-old girls that are playing with makeup and mimicking beauty influencers they see online. Like, first you're going to do this. And they're just talking to the camera, mimicking things they see online the same way that we did when we were kids, mimicking television, our older cousins, our sisters, movies, whatever it is. We also did that. We just had a different thing that we were comparing it to. We had a different thing to learn from. We had different source material, okay? These kids are doing the same exact thing, and you have grown adults in the fucking comment section making fun of them and how they're doing the makeup, and it makes me want to scream. And that's not even getting into the fact that it's fucking crazy for an adult to be commenting on a child's post on Instagram in general. Like, we can't control which children have access to the internet and which doesn't. Obviously, that is like each parent's own discretion and how they're monitoring what their child is doing on the internet and what's not. And to be honest with you, we were doing much crazier shit when I was young on the internet. So that's always going to be a family to family thing for them to figure out and what the rules are in their house. But as a fucking rule of thumb for every adult that's on the internet, you should not interact with children. There are children on the internet. Yes, you should not directly interact with them. You should not be commenting rude things on this random child's makeup tutorial on Instagram. That's fucking diabolical. So anyways, lots of things at play here. We've got a lot of fat phobia. We've got like just general creeps and hateful losers. And we've got the divaphobes all collecting in one area. And yeah, I just think the older that I get and the more I reflect on the ways I was spoken to as a child, it's like, obviously, yeah, you are so steeped in your own fat phobia that you are projecting a lot of how you feel about yourself onto this child, onto me as a, preteen and teenager. A lot of that was true. And I just think a lot of them were jealous of me, and they were jealous of my whimsical nature. They were jealous of my creative energy. They were jealous of my ambition and my confidence at a young age. I genuinely think that I was just an electric child, but I do think that my energy was off-putting to grown adult women who could not shine in quite the same way that I could genetically. So, yesterday, I was preparing to do this show, and I was going through the audience submission box. As I was sorting through the various things you beautiful people have submitted to me over the last several days, I came across one that instantly caught my eye. It reads, "Girl, your silence on Wuthering Heights has been deafening. Release the Fennell files." And you know what? They have a point. They have an absolutely fantastic point. But the truth was that I hadn't seen Wuthering Heights yet. So I bought myself a ticket this morning. I went out to a 10 a.m. showing of Wuthering Heights, and now I am ready to discuss. Okay? I have so many thoughts about this movie, the rollout, the response. I have a lot to say. Like a lot. I don't even know where to begin. Here's how I think we're going to do it. First, I will tell you what I liked about the movie. Then I will tell you what I did not like about the movie. And then we will talk about the marketing of the movie and the general audience perception, both before the release and after the release. To preface this, I am sometimes a big fan of Emerald Fennell. Sometimes I am not. I really loved Saltburn, as you guys know. She obviously directed that. But I didn't love Promising Young Woman, which was the direction that she did before Saltburn. So I was going into Wuthering Heights not really knowing which way I was going to go. But based on the trailer, I was intrigued for two reasons. Number one, the trailer looked beautiful. The trailer is absolutely stunning and lets me know that the cinematography in this bitch is gonna eat. On top of that, Wuthering Heights has a soundtrack entirely made by Charlie XCX, whom I love, okay? I've been a real Charlie XCX truther since the dawn of time. Were you there when True Romance was released? I was. Were you camped out in the rain for the Sucker Tour in 2015, 2014? I was, bitch, okay? I've been there. I've been a Charlie stan forever. So just based on what I'm seeing in the trailer, I'm already seeing some things that I'm liking. It's making me feel optimistic about the movie. I go watch it, and I do have many things to say that I liked about it. Number one, everything visually about this movie is stunning. The cinematography is great. The set design is really incredible. The lighting is gorgeous. The costuming, the makeup, the hair, everything that your eye can see in this movie is incredible. I loved the font that they were using, the graphic design of the title card. I loved everything that I could look at. It was a gorgeous movie, top to bottom. And the soundtrack was, unsurprisingly, a favorite of mine. Charlie did an incredible job on it. I think that Charlie should actually work on more movies because she has such a talent, and when it aligns and she has a clear vision for it, I think that she really does cook up something magical. And I got chills multiple times throughout this movie, and it was always because of the music. I thought that Charlie's contributions to this film helped to inspire it greatly. And I will say that I thought Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi did a great job with what they were given. I did personally buy the chemistry between them. I thought they did a great job and they acted their asses off with what they were given. There was also a lot about this movie that I didn't like or that just didn't quite work for me. And some of this starts to get into the critique about the movie not really being a great adaptation of the book. I have read Wuthering Heights. I read it in college. It's like 10 years ago, so it's been a long time. But I remember reading the book. I wasn't the biggest fan reading it back then. It's not the most pleasant book. It's kind of like a torturous read. It's kind of just depressing. But we read it in one of my college classes in contrast with Twilight, actually. So that made it more interesting to me. We'll get to the book adaptation stuff in a second. Just focusing on the script as like a standalone project. I thought that it lacked depth. And to be honest with you, the best lines of dialogue are the dialogue that is bar for bar ripped from the book. The best dialogue, the stuff that feels the most grounding and like steeped in emotion, is the stuff directly quoted from the book. But so much of the rest of the dialogue, to me, was really flat and kind of unconvincing. I think that Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi did a great job with what they were given. I was pleasantly surprised that I did buy their chemistry. And that is entirely thanks to their performances and not due to the writing. If you had even like moderately shittier actors working with this same script, there's no world where you would buy it. I just don't think that a lot of the dialogue between Kathy and Heathcliff specifically was that good. There were even times where I felt kind of confused about what was motivating the way both of their characters were acting. Obviously, I have the context of the book in my head as I'm watching this, isolated from all the other media I've consumed about Wuthering Heights up until this point. Just looking at this movie alone, I was like, I am not convinced on this character's motivations. I'm not even totally convinced that they like each other that much. And I eventually they get me there, right? Because the performances are pretty compelling, but the writing itself just was missing something. And I felt like I was having to fill in a lot of the depth and emotional gaps myself. It just wasn't quite there. There was stuff that was missing, a lot of stuff that was missing. And this is where we get into like the book adaptation of it all. And I think that my like major critique of this movie is actually more of a marketing critique than anything else. I understand that this is not meant to be a bar for bar adaptation. I understand that it's not meant to. Emerald has said that this version of Wuthering Heights is based off of what she felt when she was reading Wuthering Heights for the first time. And I, as a concept, can really get behind that. I like the idea of artists consuming a piece of art, letting it inspire them, and sort of regurgitating this piece of media, this creation that is heavily inspired by whatever the work that conjured up this thing is. But it's very much steeped in the creator's own perspective and own experience and feeling of consuming the work. I like that as a concept. I can totally get behind that. I also am not someone who needs things to be exactly like the original. I'm really not a stickler for shit like that. And I don't think that things need to be period accurate either. I don't care that the costuming is a little off in comparison to the book. I don't care that it is a soundtrack done by Charlie and it's like a lot more modernized than if we went with something more of that time, obviously. I don't care about those things. To me, I like it. To me, that's like artistic vision and putting a spin on it and going in a different direction. And I can get behind all of that. However, I don't know that they really committed to that in the marketing. This movie is called Wuthering Heights. I don't think it matters that you put quotations around it. People aren't reading that, to be honest with you. I think most of the normies did not even clock that there were quotations around Wuthering Heights. And if they did, I don't think a lot of people are clocking what that means. People are seeing Wuthering Heights. That's the promo for this. This is Kathy and Heathcliff's love story. And that's why they're going to see the movie. You marketed this, whether you like it or not, as Wuthering Heights. So it doesn't really matter to me if, you know, now Emerald Fennell and her team they're sort of trying to backtrack and really emphasize that this was never meant to be a direct adaptation of the book, that it was always going to be different and it was always going to be its own thing. I think if that is true, it shouldn't have been called Wuthering Heights. I think that if they named the movie something else and we could have watched it and then in hindsight through directorial interviews with her learned that some of it was inspired by Wuthering Heights, I think we'd be getting a very different response to this, to be honest with you. But because it's called Wuthering Heights and you've got Kathy and Heathcliff and some of the details of the movie are accurate to the book, it's like in this middle ground where it's similar enough to the source material that it seems like you're trying to do an adaptation, but it's also far enough away from the source material that it seems like you're doing a shitty job of adapting it. Like, it either needed to be more in alignment with Wuthering Heights and to just be a true adaptation, or if it was gonna be more of like her commentary on how reading Wuthering Heights and perceiving those characters made her feel, it needed to go way in the opposite direction, not be called Wuthering Heights. The characters needed to be named differently. Like, we needed to go farther away if it was going to be like that. But instead, we're in this middle ground area where we have a lot of similarities with the book, but also a lot of differences from the book. For those of you that haven't read Wuthering Heights, the movie actually only is like the first like half of Wuthering Heights. Basically, in the book you see what becomes of Heathcliff after Kathy's death, and I think that obviously changes the way that people, like real lovers of the book, see Heathcliff in a much different light than people who are just consuming these characters in the movie form are gonna feel. And I understand people who are like lovers of the book and they want everything to be perfect. I understand people like that. I'm not 100% in that camp. But again, I don't think that this movie did a good job of doing anything. I don't think this movie did a good job of being an adaptation. And I also don't think this movie did a good job of being not an adaptation. I think that it was too wishy-washy and non-committal in either direction. And that's where it failed. I think that if it committed to being a weirder, like loosely inspired by Wuthering Heights, this is Emerald's vision of like a capture of how the book made her feel, and they went all the way in that direction and made it sexier and sluttier and whatever, I think it actually could have been a lot better than what it is. Like, I love her visuals. I mean, the movie is just scrumptious, and I think you've got two very talented actors. The sexy parts did work for me. If only the writing that supported those things and led us to those moments would have made me feel anything at all. I had no emotional reaction to this movie. And famously, I'm someone who cries pretty easily at movies. I didn't cry. I didn't even giggle and kick my feet. I think the only time I was like, ooh, was when he sucked on her fingers for the first time. That was the only time that I was like, ooh. But even then, it was a very minor in comparison to what it could have been if only things were just a little different, which I blame mostly on the script, to be honest with you. I understand why people are upset about this version of Wuthering Heights. I do. But I think the reason why people are upset is because the movie really doesn't commit to what it's saying it commits to. It doesn't commit to being not an adaptation. So of course people are watching it and being like, okay, this is just a bastardized version of a really beloved piece of literature. Which it is. There's characters that are completely written out of the movie that were major parts and pillars of the book. Also, one of the big critiques for the movie before it came out was the casting of Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff. Because in the book, Heathcliff is absolutely a person of color. In the movie, it really tries to frame Heathcliff's otherness as being because of class and not race, but I don't think it works. Again, this is another thing that, to me, if you committed to being not an adaptation of Wuthering Heights, you call it something different. Again, this is her movie based on a feeling she felt when she was reading the book. If we're going full force towards that, fine, cast Jacob Elordi, but you didn't. You went half-ass. So it does seem like a bastardized adaptation. And that is a problem if you're going to cast Jacob Elordi in this bastardized Wuthering Heights adaptation. And that's what it feels like. So much of the original text and like understanding Heathcliff's position in the world they live in is influenced by race. And I don't think you can get around that without the character motivations of Heathcliff changing in their entirety. There are other parts of the story that then don't start to make as much sense because Heathcliff is a attractive white man named Jacob Elordi. Like there's not enough to set Heathcliff aside that you're buying it at all, to be honest with you. But like looking at the part of the movie where Heathcliff comes back and he's wealthier now and he's, you know, very different than he is in the earlier parts of the movie, that and his motivations and how his character feels and what has changed or what hasn't changed is much more obvious in the book than it is in the movie, because so much of who Heathcliff is as a character was flattened both by the writing and by the casting choice. There's just parts of the story that don't quite make sense, that aren't as it just doesn't, there's a final puzzle piece that can't be added in because they've removed so many very critical parts of the story, but kept the bones similar enough that we're still going in the same direction. Like, it just doesn't work. Again, they either needed to diverge more or just be an adaptation, but this middle ground shit where they chose neither is the reason why the movie is not that good. To me, it is it all falls on the script and the lack of committing to taking a new path, and it falls on the marketing. Calling this movie Wuthering Heights, making it about Heathcliff and Kathy's love story as if that's what Wuthering Heights the book is about. I just don't think it works. I don't think it works. So at the end of it all, I ended up giving it a 3 stars because there are some parts of the movie that I really liked, and there's other parts of the movie that I really didn't like. But overall, it was an enjoyable watch. It was incredibly beautiful. I thought the performances were great for what they were given, but ultimately, this version of Wuthering Heights will not be remembered as being interesting enough in any facet. It unfortunately is going to be remembered as one of those movies that is more beautiful than it is substantive. One more thing about Wuthering Heights, though, and this is what I've been going on about for months, which is that I am so fucking sick and tired of these losers, capital L, losers on the internet that review bomb and shit talk movies they have not seen. You bitches actually annoy the fuck out of me. The fact that before this movie came out, people were review bombing it and trying to fuck with the Letterboxd and IMDb ratings, the discourse was already fucking all over socials before the movie had even been released. Now, I'm all about getting into the buzz of things and talking about shit before it's released, but some people, and this is a smaller group of people online, but again, they've pissed me off, so I'm going to talk smack about them because at least one person may be listening to this podcast episode, and maybe I can stop you from being an annoying loser. Okay? Please stop being an annoying loser. It pisses me off when people don't consume the material but still want to be a critic. If you watch the movie and you have a reaction to it, have a critique for it, by all means, voice your opinion. We're all allowed to have our own perceptions and thoughts about a piece of media. You go see it, you love it, you give it a 5-star review. Go for it, queen. Talk about why you loved Wuthering Heights. If you saw it and you can't find anything you like about it and you give it a 0.5 star, by all means, go ahead and talk about it, sister. What I don't fuck with is people who have not seen the movie going on and on social media about how terrible it is when you don't know because you haven't seen it. You are going based off of, at most, the trailer and shit you've seen other people say online. I am just so annoyed at people like this because They exist on their timelines and nowhere else. They scroll through Instagram and Twitter and Threads and TikTok, and they just absorb the opinions of people around them. They are a sponge. They have no individual perspective at all. It does not matter, but they will carry the same passion as someone who does have an individual perspective because they want to feel important and smart and talk down to other people. You guys are actually fucking insufferable. Those people are so irritating. Those are the same people that if they love a movie and then Twitter told them that actually the movie sucked and it was a piece of shit, they would lower it 3 stars. Those are people that I don't respect. I don't respect people who just need to regurgitate what they're hearing other people say and seem holier than thou for not consuming a piece of media that they're committed to criticizing. I think that's so lame. Like the fact that there are people out there being like, if you go see Wuthering Heights and give that bitch money, then you're a bad person. Get help. Get help now. You guys are fucking weird. You are fucking weird. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You are bizarre. People like that piss me off. But again, if you've seen the movie and you want to critique it, go forth, Sister Queen. My criticism is for people who have not seen a piece of media, but are still committed to talking shit about it and going on and on and on Twitter and whatever the fuck else about how much better and more evolved they are for having this take when they have absolutely none of the context or information to back up why they are saying what they are. I just can't. It's beyond me. All right, let's see what else has been going on in the audience submission box. In honor of being the voice of Mormon talk, I've got to know, what are your thoughts on soaking? Well, is that like a thing? Really? I think I've heard through my connections to the Mormon world, and by that I mean a video or two that I saw online. So really I could be spreading rumors. I don't fucking know. That maybe soaking is not as popular as we've been made to believe. Surely some people soak, but I don't know how many Mormons actually partake in that. But to be honest with you, I can get down with it. Not from a religious context, but from like a, I don't know, let's just spice things up context. Like the idea of someone just being inside of me, which also doesn't like the act of putting it in count as one pump. Because isn't the issue that you can't pump, and that's why they have someone underneath the bed like pushing it while they're soaking to like, you know, jostle their bodies around a little bit. I get that you're avoiding the pump of it all, but like putting it in is one pump. What's the difference between 2-3 pumps and one pump? I just think that the sexual shame these people are dealing with is quite upsetting. Like, guys, you can just have sex. You can totally just have sex. But I can get behind the idea of soaking as like just something new and fun and different to add to your library of sex acts, you know? Watching a movie while someone is just inside you the whole time. You're not fucking. It's just marinating there, you know? I think that I would probably get a yeast infection or BV or something. There's no way my cooter could survive that. But I can understand the appeal as like foreplay. But no, I don't necessarily understand it as the main course. I said soaking while you're watching a movie, and I didn't hate that idea. I said it out loud and I was like, actually, that could be fun. No one has to rock the bed or anything. I'll just let it soak. Calm waters for this soaking. Just let it sit there. We'll come back to it later. Don't worry about it. That in itself is almost freakier than just having actual penetrative sex. Like pumping. Maybe just have sex. That's actually way less freaky than letting someone just be inside of you for an extended period of time without pumping. That's like kind of intense and very intimate. Mormons are crazy, dude. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. Hi, Maddie. Long-time lover girl, first-time question asker. I have thought a long time about how to word this submission. I am eternally grateful for the positive content you make regarding being fat/plus size. I've been fat for most of my life and have battled disordered eating for as long as I can remember. Finding your videos has helped me kickstart my self-acceptance journey and realize that I need to start living my life as I want now, rather than putting everything on hold while trying to become thin. That being said, I still have a long way to go, and even though I'm starting to accept my body, I'm ashamed to say I still find myself comparing my other physical attributes to plus-size people such as yourself. I feel so dumb writing it out, but specifically I struggle as I never learned how to do makeup growing up. The voice that told me I was too fat to go out now says, if only you had a pretty face to make up for it. I look terrible in pictures and going out. My hair and face always look so disheveled, even if I try really hard. I feel like I fell behind my peers in the looking like an adult department. Part of me wants to throw myself into learning how to do hair and makeup to try to catch up, figure out how I can make myself into the girl that I want to see in the mirror, but the other part of me feels like I'm just succumbing to the pressures of society. How do I feel beautiful walking out the door? What changes can I make to help myself look put together with or without the help of makeup? How do I accept that maybe I am just an average looking plus size person and that is okay? Well, I have a couple things to say. Number one is that no matter where you are in your self-confidence journey, there will never, ever come a time where you never feel a pang of insecurity ever again. That is just part of the human experience. We can get to places where we are, feeling much more secure and confident in ourselves. Maybe we even feel confident the majority of the time. But I think it's incredibly human to have moments of self-consciousness, self-doubt, days where you just are not feeling good about yourself. That's human. That's totally normal. And I don't know that it's helpful to strive to live in a world where there's never any, negative thoughts inside your head. I think it's less about making those feelings disappear and more about learning how to sit with them and not take things so personally and internalize it as being something bad about yourself. You know what I mean? I absolutely will have days where I do not feel that confident and I don't feel my best. I look in the mirror and I'm just not loving my outfit, or I'm having a bad hair day, or whatever it is. I'm just not feeling my best. And I, at this point in my life, am not trying to make days like that go away. I think they've become fewer the older I've gotten. But my goal as a person is just how to learn how to be compassionate to myself when those days do come up. That to me is the important part. Not to get rid of those days, but to just learn how to meet myself with kindness the way I would meet someone else with kindness if they were having a bad body image day. Because that's so normal. And number two, the second thing that is so normal is comparing yourself to other people. All of us at some point in our lives have compared ourselves, our bodies, what we look like to other people. I've talked about this a lot with Meg before and other plus size friends of mine, but there's the beauty standards at large, and there's also beauty standards within the plus size community. And it's kind of interesting how I have watched myself break free from the pressure to be thin and wanting to be thin all the time. I don't have a constant pressure inside my head or desire to be thin. I really don't think about it at all. But there was a part of my brain that almost found a new beauty standard to fixate on. And now it's I don't care about adhering to the societal beauty standard, but there's still a voice in my head that really wants to adhere to the plus size beauty standard and wants to look like, plus size models and the people that are the face of plus size beauty. Those are the people that I find myself comparing to. People with bodies that are quite similar to mine, but are different enough in certain ways. The way that their fucking hairline looks when it's slicked back, that's something I think about a lot, actually. Exposing one of the things that I think about in this department, I guess. The nitpicky ways that we compare ourselves to other people, but like the trend of slicking your hair back, and people part their hair in the middle and then they slick it back and it's still like a high ponytail or high bun. It looks bizarre on my head shape and my hairline. It just doesn't work on me. I think my head is too big and too round and my hairline is too square to make that look good. So whenever I do a slick back, I have to slick it down and then tie it up in a claw clip in the back. But it's because I'm doing that, it's never as like snatched as some other people's, and I've tried 100 times to make it look good on me and it just doesn't work on my head shape. Anyways, that is a small example of that, but I can't tell you the amount of times that I've looked at other people and I've been like, God, I wish that it looked like that on me when they do something with their hair or they wear a certain something that I'm like, it looks awesome on you, but it would just not look good on me. And sometimes I'm saying that in a neutral sense. And there's also been other times where I've said it in a more, charged negative way. I have felt something negative about myself as a result. Point being is that we all compare ourselves to other people and we're all susceptible to looking at other people and finding things that we like about them or think look good on them and then convincing ourselves that the way that we look isn't enough. But like, funny enough, while you're sitting there criticizing yourself, someone else could be looking at the very thing you're criticizing going, oh my God, that's so beautiful and amazing. That feature of theirs, I love it. I wish that I looked like that. I wish that I could do my hair like that. I wish that I had the skills to do my makeup like that, whatever it is. Like, I think that we all find those things no matter what they are. And I think that even to do that, to look at someone else and admire something in them is not a bad thing. It's a good thing even. It's just the way we choose to weaponize that admiration against ourselves that then becomes the issue. I think that multiple things can be true at once. I don't think it has to be this thing of like, okay, like maybe I do want to learn how to do makeup and hair. Maybe that is a skill that I want to sharpen up. But if I do learn those things, it must mean that I'm succumbing to the pressures of society and I don't really want to do those things. Otherwise, I would have done it by now. And if I do, this means that I don't actually like myself that much. I don't think that has to be true. I think multiple things can be true at once. If you're genuinely interested in learning more about hair and makeup, then go for it. If you're not interested, then don't do it. But if there's a part of you that wants to know more, that thinks it could be fun, that wants to experiment, that I don't think you need to feel guilty for wanting to experiment in that way, even if you have not been into it up until this point. I think that some people are exposed to like the world of beauty at a younger age, depending on what their parents or like older siblings relationship to it is. So like, I feel like I learned how to do makeup when I was pretty young because my mom loved everything beauty related. She was a hairstylist. She did makeup. She was a fashion queen. Like, I feel like I was exposed to a lot of that stuff and was encouraged to find my own style and sort of creative visual expression from a young age. I think that it was just like a door that was opened for me at an early age. It was like a canvas for creative exploration that was offered to me. So obviously now I have much more experience than someone who maybe didn't start exploring makeup until they were in college or even graduated from college and working their first, big girl job, and they had to figure out how to, look a little bit more put together for the office or something or whatever it is. There's no shame in wanting to explore those things at any point in time. And I think there's like a healthy relationship that you can have with each of those things. There's a way to engage with it without relying on it entirely. There's a reason why I don't wear makeup in all of my videos. I'm not wearing makeup right now. I'm here with no makeup and eye patches on. I just did my skincare, put these eye patches on, boom. here we are. To me, it's important. It was always important that I like myself with and without makeup, that I like myself and feel beautiful no matter what. So it's important for me that I don't only showcase the done up version of myself online. I woke up this morning and I didn't want to do my makeup. I didn't want to do it. And also it didn't feel like a good use of my time because I had to go see Wuthering Heights and I had shit to do. So I was like, to save time, I'm not going to do my makeup today. I'm just going to film barefaced. And I do that and I feel comfortable doing it. And to me, that feels important to maintain that balance and never feel like I have to do my makeup or I have to, look a certain way every single day. To me, my relationship with my various beauty things, whether it's dyeing my hair or getting my nails done or doing my makeup in the morning, getting dressed, like it's very much a if I want to, I will. And if I don't want to, I won't. And I don't force myself to be in a constant cadence of anything. There will be some days, some weeks where I wear sweats all week, where I don't do my makeup. Maybe I only do my makeup a couple of days. I ripped all my nails off yesterday. Like there is no, there's no rules for me. I want to enjoy the parts of creative expression in my appearance that bring me joy, and the second I don't want them or it's a time burden to me or whatever it is, I don't do it and I don't think twice about it, and I'm not ashamed of what I look like without makeup. And to me, there's just like healthy boundaries to have with those things. And I think that if you're interested in learning more, you can learn more and expose yourself and get creative with hair and makeup without it becoming something that you rely on and need in order to feel good about yourself, But to be curious about it, to see someone else who does cool makeup or a cool hairstyle and be like, oh, cool. Like, I wonder if I could do that for myself. That's innocent and sweet. Seeing something beautiful and going, oh my God, what if I replicated that beautiful thing? Like, it's just inspiring. It's creative inspiration. I don't rub purple eyeshadow on my face every time I do my makeup because other people think it's the coolest thing in the world. I do it because I think it's cool, because I like the way it looks. If I'm doing my makeup, I'm doing the same thing every time. I'm always doing purple eyeshadow. To me, that's what looks the best on me. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. A lot of people wouldn't wear something like that, and that's okay. They don't have to. I don't do it for anything other than my own personal joy and creative expression. So on the days where I don't want to do it, I don't do it. And I don't feel bad about not doing it. And I don't think that you should feel guilty for wanting to explore, nor do I think that if you do explore, you should feel like you have to then commit to looking a certain way every single day, because you don't. And there is a large part of existing in a body and trying to have a decent relationship with it that is just accepting that you look like what you look like, and that a lot of what we have been conditioned to believe is beautiful or most desirable appearance-wise is not like some universal truth. It's motivated by, billion-dollar diet industries and beauty industries at large and so many other factors. It's not like some universal truth of what people find visually pleasing and what people don't. Like, this is a cultural thing. It's absolutely 100% cultural. And you don't have to punish yourself for not adhering to a beauty standard that a bunch of, pedophilic white guys made up. You look gorgeous. Have fun experimenting with hair and makeup if you want to, and don't if you don't. You don't have to feel bad about shit. We all compare ourselves to each other. We all find ways to, nitpick what isn't quite right and look at other people in admiration, find ways to punish ourselves for that instead. We've all been there. It's normal. You're very normal. You've just got to be a little sweeter to yourself and let yourself have a little bit of fun without feeling like you need to punish yourself for it. All right, I'm going to throw us on over to the post show where we will continue chatting. I really want to talk about the men's USA Olympic hockey team and all that shit that happened in the locker room with Donald Trump. So we're going to talk about that and some other things over on the post show. As a reminder, the fundraiser link for Creators Against ICE is going to be linked in all of the podcast episodes in the description. So if you'd like to donate to the National Immigration Law Center, the donation link is going to be down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in next week's episode. Goodbye.
Okay, it's your turn. Truth or dare?